Hi guys, you are with Mans from Quest for a Farm, and today I am going to be making a couple of healthier snacks. So we're going to start off by making brown bread cheesy garlic breadsticks. Okay, it's a mouthful. So it's a really super easy recipe, this one. It's a kind of one bowl mix it all. It does involve kneading. So we're going to start off with 2.5 cups of brown bread flour. You can mix it half and half with regular flour if you want to. I just feel like the brown bread flour is healthier. They'll have a slightly lighter texture if you mix it half and half. So I'm not going to do that. My brown bread flour. Then next I have a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar. So, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of sugar, a tablespoon of olive oil. Ooh, that popped right off. And then we are going to have 1 packet of yeast. Just a whole packet, so you can see this is really no fuss, easy peasy recipe. Then we need a 3/4 cup of warm water. So again, you don't want it to be too hot, you don't want it to be too cold, because if it's too cold, your yeast won't activate. If it's too hot, you'll kill your yeast. Okay, 3/4 cup. And then technically you would top them with your garlic, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just chuck my garlic into my bread dough mixture. Start by giving it a good stir. Always make sure you have a little bit of extra water on hand, because I don't know if you can see, but my mixture's awfully dry, so I'm going to add a bit more warm water. And then we are going to get in there with our hands and start bringing it together into a ball. Okay, if you want the low sodium version, you don't need the salt. If you want a sugar-free version, it actually is going to be pretty sugar-free. The sugar is really just going to feed the yeast. Okay, so once it's in a nice ball, all coming off the sides, we are going to give it a bit of a knead. Boom. Okay, don't chuck your bowl away. Add a little bit of flour to the surface. Close up your olive oil. And we can start kneading. Alright, so after a bit of kneading, you can see it's kind of nice and velvety. What we're going to do is we're going to roll it into a nice ball, and we are going to proof it for an hour. And while it's busy proofing, I am going to start working on my little biscuits, because they don't need any proofing time, so I want to have them so that they go into the oven together. So our bowl comes back, our bullocky goes in there, and we're just going to cover it with a cloth and put it on top of the fridge where it's nice and warm for an hour. I'll be back shortly with our cheesy biscuity recipe. Alright, so we are back, and my next recipe I'm going to actually double it up because I want to have some extra ones, and I know these go quick. So we are going to start with 3 cups of our brown bread flour. So these are, if you in South Africa, sort of cheesy Salticrax, other people call it Cheez-Its, so stuff like that. So we have that. You can add a little bit of all-purpose flour if you want it to be a bit lighter, but I don't. So then we're going to add a teaspoon of salt, which is about so much, maybe a wee tad more. Teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of baking soda. So, teaspoon of baking powder. Come hither, open. A teaspoon of baking powder. Half a teaspoon, where's my half teaspoon? Half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. Boom. What else? Okay, so we're going to give this a bit of a mix. Okay, and now we're going to start adding to it. So first we are going to add about a cup of grated cheese. Just disperse it around nicely. You can use pre-grated if you want to. I'm saving a bit of cheese out for my breadsticks, so I over-grated. So let's just mix that through your dough. You want a nice even distribution of cheese, and I prefer, for this recipe, I prefer to grate it on the finer grate. Okay, and then we want about 4 tablespoons or so of cold cubed butter, straight out of the fridge. You can use margarine if you want to, and we are going to rub it in. Okay, so we're wanting to end up with something that somewhat resembles very fine breadcrumbs. Ideally using your fingertips as far as possible. So this is one of those dough recipes that you want to keep cold. Okay. So there's that. My hands a bit of a wash. Reset my video. Right, so we've got our butter kind of pinched in, and now we are going to add some olive oil. Okay, 4 tablespoons of olive oil. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then about a tablespoon or 2 of vinegar. But as we're adding our vinegar, we are going to be alternating it with ice cold water. So we're giving it a stir. We don't want to, you're going to end up adding about half a cup normally to this amount. So I just want to get it a little bit doughy. You can also mix your water with your vinegar. Now the reason that we add the vinegar in here is that it gives it that nice dry, crispy kind of flakiness. Okay, and this we don't want to overwork this dough. We don't want those gluten fibers stretching out. So a little ploopy. of vinegar, spread around as much as we can. Give that a mix in. Okay, our dough is starting to come together. I used apple cider vinegar, but you can use whatever you want. Add maybe a wee squirt more water. And in with our hands. Remember, we are not working this like we were our previous dough. We just want it to come together so that we can roll it out. If you overwork it, your cookies will be tough. Okay, and just a tiny bit more water. And I'm going to pull this together. And then I shall empty it out onto my counter. Nope, you need a wee tad more. You see, my dough is not holding together nicely. It's still relatively fully aparty, so I can't really roll this, but it's coming together. This section is, so we're almost there. Okay, and again, you can see I'm not working the dough. I'm kind of trying to get it to come together and not kneading it. Okay, once you're happy that it's gonna stay together, then it's time to start shaping your actual biscuits. Now, if you're doing this as a recipe on its own, at this stage, I would have already had my oven preheating. So, now it's rolling out time. So I'm going to pretty much split it in half. Get rid of all my other stuff. Ooh, that was loud. Shape it into a nice bollocky. And squish it out. And now we want to roll it. We want to roll it quite thin, remember? Water biscuits or Salticrax or Cheez-Its or whatever you want to call them are relatively skinny little biscuits. So, we can find a rolling pin. Yes, we can. We are going to roll it out. If you're doing this with white flour and not brown flour, you want it to be almost see-through. Almost. You're not going to achieve that with brown flour so easily for obvious reasons. But here we go. Last little go over. Right, and now we are going to get a cookie sheet with parchment paper on it. Alright, and then you are going to get a cookie cutter, whatever shape you please. I got this really cute little set from someone for Christmas, so I'm going to choose my square, and I'm going to make my biscuits quite little. Alright, so here our little guys are all cut out. So we are going to get a cookie sheet. I'm just putting it on the side here. And we are going to line it with parchment paper. And we're going to place all our little cookies on it. So that is what she looks like. And then after that, I'm going to take my fork, which I had just a minute ago. Okay, you can do this the neat way or not so much, but you just want to get some little holes into each of your cookies so that they don't form little air pockets. Okay, so there you have our biscuits all stomped out and everything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a pastry brush and we are going to wet them down. We don't want to soak them through, remember, we're just wetting them down. I'll show you now. I'll show you why now. I strongly suspect this is why they're called water biscuits. Okay, and our last one, just a little bit of water sprinkled over it. You know what would work better is if I had a spray bottle. That's a good idea. Next time I do this, I'm going to get a spray bottle and I'll spritz the top with water. And that will save lots of time. So there you go, we've doused the top with water. And now we are going to just grate some. I've got some Himalayan salt. And now we're just going to stick some salt. You see the water will help the salt to stick. So we've got to be quick while they're still wet. Okay, so there they are, fresh out of the oven. Nice and crisp. And they taste pretty nice. I'm very happy with that, yes. So I'm going to put them on a cooling rack and let them cool, and then I will bring you back and show you how we are going to do our breadsticks. Okay, so while that is cooling down, let's have a look at our bread dough. It's beautifully risen, doubled in quantity. So now what we're going to do is give it a little roll out. Where's my flour? Okay, so you can flour the surfaces. Now there are many ways to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the lazy way, because I am now tired. So I'm going to roll it preferably, into a pretty much rectangular shape so that it can fit my baking pan. Doesn't have to be exact, and we're not rolling it out as thin as the previous ones. Okay, I'm just about happy with that. Yep, I think that'll do us. Then I'll move that aside. I'll bring back my pan. Move you aside, go away. Okay, I'll bring back my pan. I'm just going to grease it with a little bit of olive oil. Okay, you can do parchment paper again, but why not some olive oil? Okay, this is basically, you can use butter, you could use spray and cook, whatever. This is basically just to impart a little bit of extra flavor and to prevent it from sticking. Okay, once that's there, we're gonna take our bread dough and pop it in. And then if you want to, you can sort of squish it to the shape of your pan. I'm not really going to bother doing that. On top of that, I'm going to just paint brush. I'm going to just brush on some beautiful melted butter. And again, you can use olive oil if you want, you can use butter, you can use nothing. If you want a sort of drier, leaner breadstick. All of that buttery goodness. Okay, but what your butter's going to do, or your oil, or whatever it is, it's going to create a nice surface for your toppings to stick. So, as I said in the beginning, I'm making cheesy garlic breadies. So, my garlic is in, sorry, that was 2 tablespoons of butter, by the way. My garlic is in my bread. I'm going to give it a light salt. Okay, you can add literally anything. A friend of mine has done it with sesame oil and Chinese 5-spice before, which was really different and really interesting. But I am going to do salt, thyme, and cheese on the top of mine. Okay, thyme's got a strong flavor, so you don't want it super, super heavy. Oh, the wind is not doing me any favors. But yeah, that should be about good enough. Okay, then far be it from me to tell you how to flavor your breadsticks, but with the cheese, I don't usually put a huge amount of cheese because I want them cheesy, but I don't want a sort of cheesy layer on top of them that is going to not crisp up. I want them crisped up and nice. So just a smattering of cheese, if you can call this a smattering. Okay, so like maybe a reasonable amount of cheese. I mean, okay, and look how beautifully our bread has cooked. So what I'm going to do, while it's still hot, I'm going to slice it and take my fork. I'm going to cut it up into little breadstick sections. You know what? Whoops. Okay, as I was saying, that'll be better. Yes, much better. Okay, so you want to cut these while it's still nice and warm. If you allow it to cool down, then what's going to happen is they'll crisp up and they'll break as you try to cut them. There you go. So we'll separate them out. But guys, look at that beautiful breadstick, about to crisp up, perfect to dunk, tastes beautiful, very, very happy, and this was not very hard at all. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button and hit the like button and follow me for more kitchen/garden/animal hacks. Thanks so much for watching, and bye.